About a month ago, I made a video called "The Kings Are Perfect Just the Way They Are." About a week ago, I made a video where I basically said the Kings don't need to make a move, but it'd be cool if they did. Well, a lot has happened in the last week, and I no longer think those things at all. I have changed my mind. Kings, the Kings need to make a move now. They need to make a move yesterday. We're starting to miss out on some guys. Now, I don't think we were ever seriously gonna get Pascal or OG, without giving up Keegan Murray. But with that said, there's still a lot of guys on the market. I'll get into all of them. Now, I don't think we're contenders, and I hope and pray that you don't think we are either. So, we're obviously not, one piece away from turning this ship completely around, but we can't keep putting out this same starting five. At this point, having Harrison Barnes in the starting lineup is elder abuse. I mean, I think at this point he's even surprised to see himself in the starting lineup every night. But yeah, man, it's getting old. And the Kings' struggles of late, it's not like they're all on Harrison Barnes. But with that said, that is the biggest area of weakness on this team, I'd say, aside from their poor free throw shooting. But I think Harrison's the guy who needs to go. And with all the reports that have been coming out lately, it looks like Monty's in agreement with me that we need to upgrade the wing position, either the 3 or the 4. It doesn't really matter. Just anybody but HB. So those guys, I'll go through them all. But I'm going to name them out real quick just so we're kind of all on the same page here. We got Jeremy Grant of the Portland Trail Blazers, Bogdan Bogdanovic of the Detroit Pistons, Herb Jones of the New Orleans Pelicans, Tobias Harris of the Philadelphia 76ers, Miles Bridges of the Charlotte Hornets, Mikal Bridges of the Brooklyn Nets, and Zach LaVine of the Chicago Bulls. So it sounds like we're in on pretty much every wing available. Now, I kind of talked about Zach LaVine a lot in my last video. If you haven't checked it out, go. Maybe it's not my last video. My last trade video, I talked about LaVine a lot. So if you haven't seen that, go check it out. But basically, he wouldn't be my first choice. But I don't think his fit on the team would be horrible. We do need, as funny as it sounds, we do need more scoring. And especially at the 2 guard position, I know Herter's been playing better of late, and I'm hoping he stays consistent and keeps shooting the way he's been shooting. But throwing LaVine in there wouldn't be the worst thing, and it'd definitely be an upgrade over Herter. Assuming that's who we'd trade away. Another report was saying that the Bulls are interested in Herter. We don't know why, but nonetheless, they are interested. But with LaVine, in order for it to work, you just have to fully understand that he's the long-term 3rd option, and he'll have to at least try on defense. But, that contract does scare me because it pretty much just doesn't let us do anything else for the next 3 years. And, he's obviously not going to put us over the edge. So that's a little bit scary to think that, that's kind of just our team for the next 3 years. And I think because of that, I really don't see us making this trade because, Monty's whole thing this entire time has been maintaining flexibility, and trading for Zach LaVine and that contract doesn't make us very flexible. So I think the Kings, I'd assume, are out on LaVine, especially based on the recent reports that kind of have us tied to all the wings, like the 3-and-D type of guys, or just the taller scoring wings, I guess. But, I am still holding out hope that Caruso is available or made available. But, that's kind of looking like a pipe dream at the moment. So I won't talk too much about him. But yeah, let's actually dive into the realistic trade options here. I'll start with Jeremy Grant. He's 29. And, he has that 5-year, $160 million contract. And so he'd have, including this year, 4 years plus a player option at the end of the contract. It's not the worst contract I've ever seen, and he's been producing this year. Obviously, he's kind of the guy in Portland. But 22 points on 41% from three, like take that any day of the week. And this goes for everybody I'm about to talk about. But huge upgrade over Harrison Barnes. I think that goes without saying. I can probably stop talking about HB at this point. You guys get the idea. But yeah, I think Jeremy Grant would be cool. I think it'd be even cooler if we got, Matisse Thybulle thrown into that trade package. It's his defense off the bench. Yeah, he'd probably come off the bench. Would be awesome. And Jeremy Grant isn't a horrible defender. He kind of was last year. I honestly haven't been watching a ton of Blazers basketball, so I haven't really seen how he's been on the defensive side, but his stats look good, and we'd have him long term, so that'd be nice. It's crazy though, when he signed that contract, I was like, oh, that's a horrible contract. And one of my buddies, he's a Blazers fan, and he always jokes like, oh, trade. Well, I'll take Keaton if you take Jeremy Grant, which like obviously that would never happen. But it is funny to think that that might be a possibility of having Jeremy Grant on the Sacramento Kings. Anyway, let's keep this thing rolling. Bogdan Bogdanovic is the next guy I'll talk about. He is 34, gonna turn 35 in April, but his contract is a little cheaper. It's kind of crazy. His isn't much higher than Harrison Barnes. Last time I'll bring him up, I promise. But that's just crazy to think about. But yeah, $20 million this year, 19 and some change next year. I'm not super crazy on Bohan. Obviously, he's had a good career and like really solid piece. I do worry about his age a little bit. I guess his fit on the team, is he only 6'7"? I don't know why I thought this guy was like 6'10". But no, I mean, we could use his shooting. He's another guy who's putting up about 20 points a game on 41% shooting. Any team could use that. So, like, it wouldn't be my first option, but, if it gets to the point where guys are coming off the table and it's kind of just like Bohan's there staring at you, I guess you pull the trigger there. Now, the guy who I saw for the first time this morning being linked to the Kings is Herb Jones. And I think Herbert would be great on the Kings. The only issue is I feel like, and I don't know why I feel this way, but I feel like we'd have to give up Malik Monk and maybe even a pick for Herb Jones. And I know, his stats don't really jump off the page. He's averaging, let me see. He's averaging almost 11 points per game, 3.5 rebounds, 2.5 assists, but also a steal and a block per game, and his shooting numbers are pretty decent. He's an 85% free throw shooter, and I haven't looked, but I'd assume that would be immediately the best on the team if he joined the Kings. Let's keep that in mind. But I think he would be an amazing fit, and his contract is cheap. It's like, and we'd have him for 4 years. He's only 25 years old. He's on a 4-year, $53 million contract, so we'd have him till 2027. And yeah, I think that's just kind of one of those like plug and play guys that you kind of know what you're going to get. He does have some room to grow as well, to keep developing. And it'd be really cool. Like that's in theory, a really cool pairing, him and Keegan at the wing position. I don't, obviously doesn't make us contenders or anything, but a guy at that price, at his age, with what he's able to do on both sides of the ball, I think if you're able to get him for the right price, that's a no-brainer. All right, moving on to Tobias Harris. This is a guy that's been connected in one way or another to the Kings for, it feels like the last 3 or 4 years. And he's on the last year of his deal. He is 31 years old. Not really concerned about that. If you look at his stats, and especially like his career stats, he gives you anywhere from like 16 to 20 points per game. Shoots anywhere from 36 to 40% from three. Gets you like 6 or 7 rebounds a game. And he's pretty solid on defense. And, as a lot of you guys saw when we played the Sixers last week, he can drop 40 on any given night. So, that's definitely a guy you'd want. But it would just be for a rental. And it seems like it would have to be part of like a 3-team deal, I'd think. Because the Sixers should be in win now mode. But if they're trying to get off that contract for some reason, I guess it sounds like the Kings would be willing to take that on for the rest of the year. I really don't know how that would work. But, I'm just doing my due diligence. I saw the Kings connected to this guy, so I had to talk about him a little bit. But yeah, kind of similar to Bohan, where I'm not super high on him, but, a guy with his pedigree, his rap sheet, if you will, why not, But again, like, Kings have been connected to this guy for the last like 3 or 4 trade deadlines, and nothing's ever happened. I doubt something happens this year. I don't know like what would make this year any different. Other than that, he's on the last year of his contract, but that feels like it would make even less sense now. Yeah, enough of Toby there. So now we get down to the bridges. One guy I would like a lot more than the other, and I'm sure that you guys can guess who that is. I just really hope we don't trade for Miles Bridges, man. That'd be crazy. I hope he figures his stuff out. I hope he becomes a changed man if he isn't already. But, he can do all that somewhere else, Yeah, moving on to Mikal. Mikal Bridges is one of my favorite players in the league. And his ascension has been really cool to see, after he was traded to Brooklyn last year. It's just a guy that, really hard to not root for. And obviously I would love him on the Kings. But kind of the mock trades and stuff I've seen, like, it shows the Kings sending like 3 first-round picks and Kevin Huerter and like so much stuff, so many assets for Mikal Bridges. But, I still think you do it because, he's awesome, obviously. He'd be a perfect fit. His price would be, pretty high, like I mentioned. But, if it's just picks, like, I'd rather trade picks away that are going to be in, like, the 20s than assets that can help us win, But this does kind of seem like a win-now move, which is why I'm a little skeptical on the legitimacy of it, Because I don't think the Kings are in that position based on their contracts that they have on the books. Keegan's young and developing really well, and they're going to want to extend him, which I don't think signing Mikal Bridges or trading for Mikal Bridges rather would affect that too much. So you know what? Yeah, man. Like, we haven't made a move since we got good last year. We were silent at the last trade deadline. Didn't do much in the off season. So a trade for Mikal Bridges, dude, that'd be so sick. That would I think that might light a spark, at least in the fan base. It better light a spark under the butts of our lovely players in Sacramento. I'm just, because I'm petty and curious, want to look at this guy's free throw percentage. 84.2. Yep. Trade for this guy, please. Please do it. That'd be awesome. Simply put. I don't even really need to talk about it too much more. You guys get it. He's a great player. He'd fit perfectly on this team. Oh my gosh. I need to stop getting ahead of myself because it's not going to happen. I know it's not. But if it did, if y'all could see my face, you might chuckle. But anyway, if I'm forgetting anybody or if there's someone you want me to talk about, leave a comment and let me know. I love talking Kings, especially this time of year. So just let me know what you think the Kings should do, who they should or shouldn't go after. And if you think any of these moves push us into true contention, let me know. I would love to hear what y'all got to say. Thank you guys, and as always, go Kings and light the beam.